Have you ever wondered why Israel, a relatively small nation, is at the center of global geopolitical tension? This sliver of land, no larger than the state of New Jersey, is a focal point of international complexity. Its geopolitical situation is a tangle of historical, religious, and cultural threads that have been woven together over millennia. The stakes are high, the players are many, and the implications stretch far beyond its borders. To understand the present, one must delve into the past, so we journey back to the origins of Israel. The State of Israel was born in 1948 amidst a whirlwind of controversy and conflict. It's a story that begins in the aftermath of the Second World War, a time when the world was reeling from the horrors of the Holocaust. Thousands of Jewish survivors, displaced and homeless, sought refuge in a place they could call home. That place was Palestine, a land steeped in history and significance for both Jews and Arabs. The British government, which had control over Palestine since the end of the First World War, was caught in the middle of increasing tensions between the Jewish immigrants and the Arab Palestinians. To address this, they issued the Balfour Declaration in 1917, expressing support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. However, this did not sit well with the Arab Palestinians, who formed the majority of the population in the region. They saw this as a violation of their rights and an imposition on their land. The tension grew over the years and eventually erupted into the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, following the declaration of the independent State of Israel on May 14, 1948. The war was a critical juncture in the history of the Middle East. It pitted the newly formed Israel against a coalition of Arab states including Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Iraq. Despite being outnumbered, Israel managed to hold its ground, even expanding its territory beyond the United Nations partition plan. The geopolitical implications of these events were far-reaching. They set the stage for a series of conflicts that would continue to shape the region for decades. The establishment of Israel marked the beginning of a new chapter in the history of the Middle East, a chapter filled with strife and struggle, but also resilience and determination. And so, Israel emerged, a new nation in an old land, already steeped in controversy. This nation, born out of the ashes of one of history's darkest periods, would go on to play a central role in the geopolitics of the world, forever changing the fabric of the Middle East. But that, dear listeners, is a story for another time. Fast forward to 1967, a year that would forever alter the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. In June of that year, a conflict erupted that would become known as the SixDay War. This was no ordinary war. It was a war that would redefine the boundaries of Israel and its neighboring countries, leaving an indelible mark on the region's history. The SixDay War was a rapid-fire military campaign led by Israel against Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. The conflict was triggered by escalating tensions, including border disputes and the blockade of the Straits of Tiran, a critical maritime route for Israel. In a remarkable show of strategic prowess, Israel launched a preemptive airstrike, decimating the air forces of Egypt and Syria. The ground offensive that followed was equally swift and decisive. Within 6 days, Israel had triumphed over its adversaries, seizing control of the Sinai Peninsula and Gaza Strip from Egypt, the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan, and the Golan Heights from Syria. This victory, however swift, was not without consequences. The occupation of these territories brought about a significant change in the region's demographics and sparked a myriad of political, social, and human rights issues that continue to reverberate today. The aftermath of the Six-Day War also saw a seismic shift in Israel's geopolitical standing. Suddenly, Israel found itself in control of significant tracts of land, effectively tripling its size. This territorial expansion not only bolstered Israel's strategic military position, but also significantly amplified its geopolitical influence in the region. Yet the war's legacy is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it fortified Israel's position, ensuring its survival in a hostile environment. On the other, it plunged the nation deeper into a complex and protracted conflict with its neighbors, a conflict that remains unresolved to this day. The Six-Day War, brief yet impactful, reshaped the geopolitical map of the Middle East. This war, encapsulated in 6 intense days, serves as a stark reminder of the delicate balance of power that exists in this region, and the profound consequences when that balance is disrupted. Following the aftermath of the Six-Day War, Israel found itself in an unending cycle of conflict and negotiation. The First Intifada, a Palestinian uprising against Israeli occupation, erupted in the late 80s. It was a period marked by civil disobedience, general strikes, boycotts, and violent confrontations. This uprising was a cry for national identity and self-determination, which resonated not just in the Middle East, but around the world. In response to the mounting tensions, the Camp David Accords were brokered in 1978 between Egypt and Israel, under the watchful eye of U.S. President Jimmy Carter. This peace treaty was a significant milestone, as it marked the first time an Arab nation recognized Israel's right to exist. However, the accords did little to quell the unrest among Palestinians. In the early 90s, the Oslo Accords emerged as another attempt at peace. These negotiations between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization resulted in a mutual recognition of entities. The accords promised self-governance for Palestinians in certain areas and established a framework for future negotiations. However, the peace promised by the Oslo Accords was short-lived. The Second Intifada erupted in the year 2000, triggered by the failure of the Camp David summit and escalating into a violent uprising. This period saw an intensification of hostilities, with suicide bombings and military operations becoming tragically common. The influence of these events on Israel's geopolitical situation has been profound. The Intifadas underscored the deep-seated issues that continue to fuel the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The peace processes, while well-intentioned, failed to address the root causes of the conflict, such as borders, refugees, and the status of Jerusalem. As a result, these attempts at peace often serve to further entrench the divide. Despite peace accords and ceasefires, the struggle for coexistence continued. A lasting solution remains elusive, demonstrating the complex and enduring nature of this geopolitical conundrum. Present-day Israel remains a focal point of geopolitical tension. In the heart of the Middle East, Israel continues to navigate a complex web of issues that shape its standing on the world stage. One such issue is the Israeli settlements. These communities built in areas Israel captured during the SixDay War in 1967 remain a point of controversy. The international community largely views these settlements as a violation of international law, while Israel maintains they're integral to its security and national identity. Next, we delve into the status of Jerusalem. This city, sacred to three major religions, is a vortex of historical, cultural, and political disputes. While Israel proclaims Jerusalem as its undivided capital, Palestinians claim East Jerusalem, occupied by Israel since 1967, as the capital of a future Palestinian state. The international community is divided, with some recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and others advocating for a negotiated settlement between Israelis and Palestinians. Then there's Israel's relationship with its neighbors. This is a web of alliances, rivalries, and shifting dynamics. Some Arab countries have established diplomatic relations with Israel, such as the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco, under the Abraham Accords. However, Israel's relations with Iran remain tense, with both countries viewing each other as existential threats. The ongoing conflict in Syria also poses a significant security concern for Israel. Finally, we examine Israel's standing in the international community. Israel faces criticism over its treatment of Palestinians and its settlement policies. The United Nations has passed numerous resolutions condemning Israeli actions, while Israel argues that it is unfairly singled out. At the same time, Israel maintains strong ties with powerful allies, such as the United States, which provide it with significant diplomatic and military support. Israel today stands at the crossroads of history and politics, its future uncertain. As it grapples with these complex issues, the nation remains a geopolitical hotspot, a litmus test for broader Middle Eastern dynamics, and a mirror reflecting the world's hopes, fears, and divisions. So, what have we learned from this journey through Israel's geopolitical history? Starting from the birth of a nation, we've traversed the tumultuous terrain of Israel's inception. We've seen how the formation of Israel, a land seemingly born from the ashes of World War II, was a beacon of hope for many, while for others, it represented a loss. We've journeyed through the Six-Day War, a seismic event that not only reshaped the region's geopolitical landscape, but also left an indelible mark on the world stage. This war, lasting less than a week, forever altered the face of the Middle East, transforming Israel into a significant power player. We've delved into the Intifadas, periods of intense Palestinian uprising, and the peace processes that followed. We've witnessed the cycle of violence and negotiation, of hope and despair, the dance of two peoples intertwined by history and geography. And finally, we've arrived at the present day, where Israel remains a geopolitical hotspot. As it stands on the world stage, it is a nation at once admired and criticized, a symbol of resilience and a subject of controversy. From the formation of Israel to the present day, we've seen how this nation has been shaped by its history and how it continues to shape history in return. The story of Israel is a testament to the complex interplay of history, politics, and identity, a story that continues to unfold.